Summary of Bartleby, the Scrivener. A Story of Wall Street, by Herman Melville, written and narrated by Janky Mind. Introduction. Bartleby, the Scrivener is a novella that explores the isolation and forced conformity prevalent in the modern workplace. The story, written in a flowery and occasionally humorous style, follows the experiences of Bartleby, an office employee grappling with mental health challenges and feelings of detachment. While specific details about Bartleby are sparse, we connect with his struggles through the perspective of the unnamed narrator, his boss. The convoluted and hard-to-understand prose commonly found in 19th-century American literature can create a sense of complexity and inaccessibility. Even the titles of some works, like Scrivener in this case, can feature unfamiliar terms. In historical context, a scrivener was an individual responsible for copying legal documents in an era without photocopiers or typewriters. 19th-century writing often involves intricate and perplexing meanings, and Bartleby, the Scrivener, is no exception. Melville's timeless narrative has been subject to diverse interpretations, reflecting various viewpoints and themes such as alienation, isolation, conformity, and mental well-being. This audiobook aims to provide a straightforward summary of the plot, interspersed with select quotes, while also presenting contemporary perspectives on the story's significance. Given the novella's brevity, we will cover the main plot points comprehensively. However, the subsequent analysis cannot encompass the numerous interpretations that have emerged over time or the possibilities that may arise in your own contemplation of the story. Nonetheless, both Melville's work and this audiobook encourage thoughtful consideration and personal interpretation of Bartleby's tale and his renowned phrase, "I would prefer not to." If you're interested in a brief summary, you can skip ahead to the final section. Chapter 1, The Narrator, the Staff, the Phrase. Our narrator is an older lawyer without a given name, based in New York City's Wall Street area. He specializes in legal documents and has encountered various law copyists, also known as scriveners. Among these individuals, one stands out to him, Bartleby, an exceptionally peculiar and unconventional scrivener. Before delving into Bartleby's character, the narrator introduces the rest of his staff, Turkey, Nippers, and Ginger Nut. Turkey is a competent worker in the mornings, but his productivity diminishes as the day progresses due to his alcohol consumption. Nippers, on the other hand, is productive in the afternoons, overcoming his morning irritability caused by chronic indigestion. Ginger Nut, a young boy, delivers snacks to Turkey and Nippers throughout the day. The narrator's need for additional help prompts him to hire Bartleby, who appears motionless and downtrodden upon his arrival. Impressed by Bartleby's qualifications, the lawyer employs him and assigns him a desk in his own office. Initially, Bartleby is remarkably diligent, but he declines to proofread a document when asked, responding with the phrase, "I would prefer not to." Despite Bartleby's refusal, the narrator is captivated and reluctant to take action against him. This dynamic leads to further instances where Bartleby resists tasks, and the other employees offer contrasting opinions on his behavior. The story's setting, character eccentricities, and nicknames contribute to its fairy tale-like quality, with Turkey and Nippers embodying opposing traits in a near-perfect symmetry. Bartleby's introduction paints him as melancholic and possibly afflicted with mental health issues. The description hints at his emotional struggles, and subsequent references reinforce this impression. The lawyer's decision to place Bartleby in a corner behind a screen, facing a brick wall, reflects the dehumanizing nature of modern office work, which can foster isolation and conformity, potentially exacerbating mental health concerns. Bartleby's resistance to conformity, exemplified by his recurring phrase, "I would prefer not to," intensifies his isolation and likely contributes to his deteriorating mental well-being. This defiance ultimately sets him on a path of internal conflict and isolation, highlighting the story's exploration of themes such as alienation, isolation, conformity, and mental health. Chapter 2, A Perpetual Sentry. The lawyer finds himself perplexed and torn between emotions of anger and compassion regarding Bartleby's peculiar behavior. The enigmatic scrivener steadfastly refuses to engage in anything beyond writing, shunning tasks like going to the post office or even calling for assistance from nippers. While productive in his work, Bartleby occasionally becomes idle, fixating on the wall in front of him. The lawyer notices Bartleby's constant presence within the office, describing him as an ever-watchful sentinel in the corner. An unexpected encounter on a Sunday reveals that Bartleby has been living in the office itself. Bartleby's response to the lawyer's attempt to enter is a calm insistence that the lawyer should walk around the block before returning. This baffling encounter leaves the lawyer both mystified and intrigued by Bartleby's enigmatic character. When the lawyer later learns of Bartleby's living situation within the office, his sympathy intensifies. He perceives Bartleby as a victim of an innate and incurable disorder, emphasizing the man's emotional suffering. Bartleby's persistent refrain of "I would prefer not to" continues to reverberate, even influencing the lawyer's own speech, leading to concerns about his own mental state. As Bartleby announces his refusal to write any longer, the lawyer initially assumes it's due to vision problems. However, when he realizes that Bartleby's eyesight is intact, he takes a firmer stance, giving him 6 days to vacate the premises. Nevertheless, Bartleby remains after the stipulated time. Throughout this middle section of the story, references to Bartleby's mental health struggles become more pronounced. His extended periods of staring at the wall could signify either a mental illness symptom or a symbolic representation of the stifling monotony and conformity of office life, which might contribute to a mental health crisis. The lawyer's observation that Bartleby's suffering stems from an innate and incurable disorder echoes the earlier description of Bartleby as incurably forlorn, hinting at underlying mental health issues. The lawyer's apprehension about the contagion of Bartleby's influence, evidenced by his concern about using the word prefer, underscores the confusion surrounding mental health matters during the time of the story's publication. A modern audience can easily identify signs reminiscent of depression and recognize Bartleby's need for counseling, care, and tranquility. The lawyer's sympathetic feelings toward Bartleby are entangled with uncertainty, occasionally overshadowed by his own frustration and anger. This portrayal reflects the prevailing lack of understanding about mental health during the story's era. 1852, further exacerbated by the lawyer's embodiment of the soul-draining modern office environment, situated on Wall Street, a symbol of the capitalism driving the creation of this dispiriting modern world. Chapter 3, Final Descent. As the story progresses, the lawyer reluctantly resigns himself to the responsibility of caring for Bartleby, but this changes when client complaints start pouring in. The pressure becomes too much, and the lawyer decides to move his office, intending to give Bartleby fair notice. On the day of the move, Bartleby is still in the old office, standing alone amidst the emptiness. Expecting to encounter Bartleby at his new location, the lawyer is surprised by the arrival of another lawyer, who has rented the old office space. This lawyer reports that Bartleby refuses to vacate the building, prompting the new tenant to plead with the lawyer to speak to Bartleby. After initial resistance, the lawyer eventually agrees and discovers Bartleby lingering in the stairwell. He offers various job opportunities to Bartleby, all of which are declined with a new refrain, "But I am not particular." Despite even offering him a place to stay, Bartleby persists in refusing assistance. Soon after, the lawyer learns that Bartleby has been arrested. Despite Bartleby's request to be left alone, the lawyer attempts to provide some aid by ensuring he is fed in jail. However, Bartleby refuses sustenance. When the lawyer visits again, he finds Bartleby in the prison yard, lying beneath a tree. Tragically, he soon discovers that Bartleby has passed away. The narrator then shares the little additional information he possesses about Bartleby's past, his time as a subordinate clerk at the dead letter office in Washington. This revelation deepens the tragic implications of Bartleby's story. The dead letter office's task of handling undeliverable letters is metaphorically connected to the idea of despair and hopelessness. The lawyer reflects on the impact of such a job on someone who is already predisposed to a pallid hopelessness. The story concludes with a poignant and somber reflection on Bartleby's fate and the broader implications of his circumstances. In this final section, the lawyer's character remains perplexing. While he has shown moments of charity towards Bartleby, his motives are complex. His actions seem driven by curiosity rather than genuine empathy, viewing Bartleby as a curiosity to observe. Ultimately, Bartleby's refusal of help leads to his homelessness and, eventually, his death in jail. This bleak narrative echoes contemporary societal issues. The correlation between mental health issues, homelessness, and incarceration is highlighted, reflecting the challenges faced by marginalized individuals in the 21st century. The story of Bartleby serves as a stark reminder of the despair that can arise from unfulfilling work and the struggles of those who feel alienated and disconnected within society. The revelation of Bartleby's past role in the dead letter office provides a poignant conclusion that emphasizes the connection between personal disposition and the nature of one's occupation, raising broader questions about the toll of modern life on individuals' well-being. Summary: the central character in the story, an unnamed lawyer, operates his legal practice on Wall Street, focusing on the production of legal documents. With a flourishing business, he finds the need to hire an additional law copyist, also referred to as a scrivener. Among his current staff are two scriveners, Turkey, an older man who performs well in the mornings but struggles later due to drinking, and Nippers, a younger, sober individual who is more efficient in the afternoons. Ginger Nut, a young office boy, completes the team. In response to an advertisement, Bartleby applies for the vacant scrivener position and is promptly employed. Initially, Bartleby proves highly productive in his writing tasks. However, his refusal to engage in tasks beyond writing, summarized by his recurring phrase "I would prefer not to," becomes a defining aspect of his character. Over time, Bartleby extends his resistance to writing as well. The lawyer becomes aware that Bartleby has been living within the office premises, but despite his uncooperative behavior and refusal to work, the lawyer is unable to dismiss Bartleby or evict him from the office. Rather than confronting the situation, the lawyer decides to relocate to a different office space. Surprisingly, Bartleby remains rooted in the Wall Street building and eventually faces arrest, leading to his imprisonment. Within the confines of jail, Bartleby persists in his refusal to eat and meets a tragic and isolated end. In this concise summary, the story outlines the progression of Bartleby's detachment and the lawyer's struggle to address the situation, culminating in Bartleby's unfortunate demise. This audiobook summary was brought to you by Janky Mind. We hope you enjoyed it.